Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching Couch Coaches, the summer edition. I'm your host, Billy Trice, and today we're going to just talk about Kawhi Leonard and that whole situation that's going on in San Antonio. So, as we all know, the reports came out last week on Friday that Kawhi Leonard does want out of San Antonio and does want to be traded. He does have a year left on his contract. It is a very hefty contract, but he is also looking for a new contract. He's looking for a lot of money. His preferable destination that he would like to go to is LA. But before we talk about where he's going to be traded and things of that nature, I want to talk about why this all started and how this all occurred. So Kawhi this season, we know he didn't play. He did have a quad injury in the beginning of the season. The San Antonio Spurs did come out and say that he was healthy and he should be back on the court, but we all know that never happened. Kawhi definitely had some he fought with San Antonio and just didn't feel like they were taking his concerns about his quad very seriously. He wanted to get other second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions, and San Antonio kind of was trying to force him to play when he himself didn't think he was ready to play. So I feel like that's what definitely led to the demise of him being in San Antonio and why he now wants to leave and now why he wants to be out. And it doesn't make it better that Pop and his teammates and stuff like that came out against him and weren't really backing him. He didn't feel like the organization was on his side and didn't feel like they were, being loyal to him. So I feel like he felt as though it's his time to leave now because it's not something that's going to get repaired. And we saw this before last year with LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge and Pop in San Antonio, they had a falling out, and LaMarcus Aldridge almost got traded because he wanted out. And, I understand that it's hard for these players to play in San Antonio because Pop is such an influence, and he runs the team basically, and he's just that guy, and that there's a culture in San Antonio that if you don't really fit into, you're kind of like forced to fit into. It's kind of like how the Patriots have their culture up there. If you don't fit that culture, you're normally out of there. It's the same type of thing in San Antonio. And so I get it that it's not the easiest place to play, but when you're winning and it it, it kind of gets hidden in the fact when you start winning and things like that. But getting back to what I was saying and Popovich and Kawhi, Pop's getting up there, and I feel like tension. I feel like this isn't an isolated incident. I feel like it's not just about his quad. I feel like throughout Kawhi's time in San Antonio, things like this have been like Kawhi has seen some of these things. He's seen, Pop really not, in his eyes, backing him or feel as though that Pop has done some questionable things, and he's like, why? Like, I feel like it's been a buildup. It hasn't been just a one time thing. But moving on, so where do I think he's gonna go next? Is the next question. He could go to LA. LA does have some pieces. They could throw Julius Randle, and Ingram, Alonzo Ball. But I don't know if San Antonio wants Lonzo Ball and wants to deal with the Ball family. I just don't. I don't know if they want to do that. And um, I know. I think Magic Johnson is done with Lonzo Ball. I think he really wants to get rid of him. But it's hard. It's going to be hard to find a team that's going to be willing to take on that baggage of Lonzo Ball. It's definitely going to be hard. But the Lakers definitely could do it. They could throw in a Josh Hart maybe or a Kyle Kuzma to get Kawhi Leonard. And it makes sense for LA to do that because they're trying to still get LeBron. Granted, I believe that they won't get LeBron, and I'll talk about that in another video. But that would definitely help their causes in getting LeBron if they did find a way to trade and get LeBron. But then again, that's less money that they're going to be able to give LeBron James. So it's a very tricky situation over there in LA, and they're gonna have to be very, very intelligent with how they finesse their cap because their cap numbers aren't like they don't have just great, humongous. Well, they have cap space, but I'm saying in order to, because Kawhi's gonna want a new contract, and well, to be honest, if I'm any of these teams, I'm having Kawhi Leonard sign a new contract when he gets to my city. Like if I trade for him, I want him to verbally tell me that he would be willing to sign an extension because I'm not bringing Kawhi Leonard to my city or my team for 1 year. It's not gonna happen. I just wouldn't do that. But getting back to where else I think he would go, I also think that he could go to the 76ers. And I put this poll question on my Instagram's live on my Instagram story on Friday. I asked the question: should the Sixers still trade for Kawhi Leonard, even if it's not a definite that they'll retain him after there's 1 year left on his contract? And at first it was pretty close. It was like a 50-50 shot, and then more people started responding, and there was more smart people that responded and said that the majority was no, because and the majority was correct, because you cannot trade. Look, in order for the Sixers to get Kawhi Leonard, they would have to trade Robert Covington at least, maybe try and finesse Markel Fultz if that's applicable. But if not, you'd have to probably throw in Dario and still give up the 10th pick. And that's a lot to give up for a guy who's only going to play on your team for 1 year. You can't do that. You can't sell your farm as a baseball analogy. You can't sell your farm for the future. I mean, for a short-term gain. You cannot do that. You cannot do that because in the long run, it hurts your team even more. So, in my opinion, the only way, if I'm the Sixers, the only way I'm pulling the trigger is like I just said with LA. If Kawhi tells me I'm gonna sign an extension. Granted, he cannot say like, the collusion reasons why he can't say, oh, I'll sign a contract and like have it in paper. You can't obviously say that, but talking to him and getting a vibe from him, I need to be very, very confident that Kawhi Leonard is going to resign with my team. But I also hear there was also reports this weekend I heard come out saying that Cleveland is trying to get into the race of Kawhi. I understand why Cleveland is doing this. I don't know if they can, but they could give up their sixth or seventh pick that they have and Kevin Love, and I think the Spurs would take that. I think Pop would get the most out of Kevin Love, and they could use that top 10 pick. So that's definitely a viable option, and that could also help the Cavs' causes no matter what LeBron does. Because if they keep LeBron, now you have Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James on the same team, which is very, very dangerous. Granted, I do think they're going to need to upgrade the pieces around him, around them, they're big too, to even, make it competitive, but that'd be a good start. And let's say LeBron does leave, then that's money off your cap hit. Maybe you can bring in higher level guys. The free agency draft pool this year isn't that great, but there's still some solid guys that you can bring in that can maybe play well with Kawhi. And granted, you'll lose that pick, but maybe you trade an old J.R. Smith for a second round pick, or a late, or you piece together one of your young talents. Either way, you could GM your way through that and find needles in a haystack. So that's also a viable option for Cleveland. But when we talk about what I think is the best fit for Kawhi and what I think is the best situation for Kawhi, I'd have to say LA. I think LA is a great fit for him. He wants to be in LA. He'd be happy all the time. But also would say the Sixers. I feel like he'd fit in well with the Sixers, and I feel like that would entice LeBron a lot. LeBron would definitely sign with the Sixers if they had Kawhi Leonard. I think it'd be a no-brainer for LeBron James. But the thing with Kawhi is, I feel like he wants to win, but him going to LA, I don't know how much he's going to win. I think he likes the atmosphere of LA, and you know that grant because that's what he said. That's where he said he wanted to go. But my thing is, if he really wanted to win and he really wanted to chase a championship and get another one like he was doing in San Antonio, I feel like he could also go to the 76ers and do that, play with Joel Embiid and play with Ben Simmons and maybe even play with LeBron James, because that'd be a nice big four to combat against the Golden State Warriors, and I would pick that would be a championship team. They would easily beat Golden State. It'd be a 5-game series. It because who is stopping LeBron? Who's stopping Kawhi? And who's stopping Joel Embiid? You can't stop all three. There's no way. And the Golden State Warriors have nobody down low who's stopping Joel Embiid. So you're gonna have to double him, and when you do, Joel Embiid's gonna either kick it out to LeBron for a nice mid-range shot, or Kawhi for a three or a mid-range shot. There's too much. I believe in Brett Brown's coaching abilities. He did, even though he did get out coached in the Boston series against Brad Stevens, I still think he's a great coach. That was a learning experience for him, and he will come back better next season. But yeah, so if you guys have any thoughts on what I had to say, please let me know in the comment section below. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you guys for watching.